Is it your wife?
No, this is from 40 Hara. So this is a...
It's your kid.
No, it's not.
It's so cute.
But it's he does cat illustrations. He also does hentai, but he does cat illustrations. That's what we're focusing on here. G'day, weebs. I hope your dakimakras have been treating you well. We've all been stuck in our home countries, unable to take in the sights and sounds of Japan. Unless you have friends like I do on the unboxing stream.
No, we don't come through on the stream.
Alright, welcome to stream. Now on stream. Alright.
Oh, yeah?
I guess we are.
Are we on the stream?
Yes, now you're on the stream.
Oh, konbanwa minasan.
Jesus Christ, alright. But there are still ways to get your favorite Japanese merchandise over to your home country. How? Well, in this video, we're going to explore some of the best places to get some Japanese stuff, as well as the best ways of getting those merchandise to your door. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'll quickly run you through some of the forwarding services that are available in Japan. These two that I'm going to show you are the ones that I personally use, and I find them to be fairly reliable. They are basically like sisters of each other, so one version of it is just a lot more complex, a lot more involved than the other one, which of course means that you can buy more things from other places. But either forwarding service should fulfill your needs, and then I'll go through, a few places that I like to purchase some of my own goods. So the first of these mail forwarding services is called Bai. And essentially they're like a mail forwarding service that works with other retailers such as Amazon, Rakuten. I think they've got Big Camera, Animate, that kind of thing. And they consolidate that all together and then they ship it off to you wherever you are. Doesn't require any Japanese particularly, except for finding what you want to buy. And then it just gets sent straight to you. There's no fuss. Of course, there's an extra fee for all the handling and shipping and all the rest of it. And especially in today's, world, freight is at a premium. But they will collate it all together and ship it to you, essentially, from wherever you get it, as long as Baiyi supports it. They also have a browser extension. So you can just add that straight to, your browser of choice. And then that will simplify the process in that it will add it straight to your cart. So then they can consolidate it all together and you can pay it off as one single charge rather than, a giant charge by itself. So yeah, Baiyi, again, pretty reliable. And as I said, they're the sister service to the next forwarding service that I'm going to show you. The forwarding service, Tenso. Tenso is a little bit more involved because they offer you the option, they only have one option. They offer you the service of having your own kind of address in Japan that you can send stuff to. So if you're, let's say, buying things from a smaller retailer that not necessarily Baiyi works with, or you're having stuff shipped from a friend or things like that, this helps you because you can get an address that you can input into those smaller online shops that will then validate you for having an actual Japanese address. This doesn't solve the issue that some retailers and some businesses in Japan still will only accept Japanese credit cards, that kind of thing. You're just going to have to figure that one out for yourself. Most of the time it should be okay, and all of the places that I'm going to show you where I personally get my stuff, whether it be snacks or appliances, or doujins and that kind of thing, because that's the kind of channel we are. They should all accept foreign credit cards, that kind of thing, foreign debit cards, so you shouldn't have any problem. At the very minimum, probably PayPal is the way to go if you do run into that issue. So yeah, Tenso, once you register for it, they will give you a address and also the input instructions for how to put that address in to various Japanese websites, as in what's the building number, what's the suburb, that kind of thing. And it'll all be shown in, I think they have languages in English, Chinese, French, something else. They all have it in international languages, so it should be fairly easy to input your address and go from there. They will then, for a fee, consolidate all those packages into one box, and you'll end up with the box being shipped to your door via whatever shipping that you decide, whether that's DHL or EMS, that kind of thing, when EMS becomes available, when Japan Post reopens for international service. So yeah, both of these are pretty reliable. I use them myself. Mostly I use Tenso, and I would suggest if you're using one of these two, if you are mainly buying for a group, that kind of thing, to go with Tenso. It's easier for everyone to be able to use the same address, that kind of thing, to just ship things to, and only one account. Buyee is better if you're, buying for yourself, because, you can just add it straight to your cart and go, rather than necessarily having to have multiple accounts logged in and all the rest of it. So yeah, it really depends on how deep you want to go. If you're just looking to buy things from, the big online retailers like Tower Records, Amazon, that kind of thing, Buyee will probably serve you just fine. Tenso is for those that, really want to go to the more boutique shops, such as there's a stationery shop called Kakimori. I don't think they have an online shop anymore, but they used to, and they would only ship to Japanese addresses, for example. So Tenso is very handy when you need a Japanese address to ship things to, and then they'll package up, forward it straight to you. Obviously, right now, shipping costs are pretty high, but considering that you can't even go to Japan right now anyway, I mean, depends on how much you value your money and how desperately you want your things. So, as I said, these two are the main mail forwarding services that are available to you, and personally, Tenso is probably the way to go. Just because that account stays forever, it's a lot easier to use. They take PayPal, credit cards, all the rest of it. And if you get into the weeds of having smaller retailers, then it's a lot easier to input a Japanese address than trying to wrangle with Buyee and the rest of it. So, from here, I'm going to introduce some of the main retailers that I personally recommend. One of them is going to be super obvious, as you can see here, where it is Amazon.co.jp, because it's Amazon. Amazon delivers pretty much anything. So if you want snacks, kitchen appliances, skincare, that kind of thing, you can probably find it at Amazon. And if you are after specific skincare solutions or cosmetics or the rest of it, you probably know where to go better than I do. But Amazon will cover you for 80 to 90% of whatever you want from Japan, books, the rest of it. You can what's the word? You can browse the site in English as well, so you don't have to browse it in Japanese, which is helpful. Obviously, all the reviews and stuff will probably still be in Japanese, so there'll be a little bit of Japanese that you need to know, but otherwise, Amazon should be fairly easy to browse to find what you're looking for. Moving on from Amazon.co.jp, I know for some of my coffee lovers, you probably have heard of the Starbucks Reserve that is in Tokyo. Do a lot of great coffee, that kind of thing. Also, I'm told I don't drink coffee. But they do have an online store. So you can gift it to people, in this case, yourself. And you can buy sample packs of their online stuff as well. I don't know if they put the fukubukuros up there at New Year's, that kind of thing. They might, but you're probably going to need to be very quick to be able to get those in, because those sell out fast. They also have, tea sets, that kind of thing, mugs, masking tape if you're after that particular aesthetic. So Starbucks Reserve, for all the coffee lovers out there, just something you should think of. For all my liquor lovers out there, like myself, who's after, a nice dram of whiskey, Liquor Mountain also has an online store. These online stores are unfortunately only in Japanese, so you will need to know, some basic Japanese words. Yes, I am over 20. But it will let you buy whiskeys at very good Japanese prices compared to, let's say, for example, me in Australia, where it's just up the wazoo, because, that's the cost of doing business sometimes. You will need to know a little bit of Japanese to be able to use this particular online stores for whiskey in particular, which is why I pointed it out. But I think they also have gin. Yeah, they have gin in here, gin and rum, and tequila and stuff like that. So it's definitely possible to buy liquor overseas and have it shipped here. Of course, you'll need to abide by applicable laws and that kind of thing. Just make sure whatever you buy is not against your country's laws. I think that's a pretty good guide for anyone. So that's definitely something you can think about there. Now, moving on to the main reason this channel exists: the doujins, the manga, the anime, that kind of stuff, the merchandise. Where can you get it in Japan to ship back to you through your forwarding service? Well, there's several different websites that will fulfill your needs. Toru no Ana is probably your best bet for anything new. So they generally will stock, particularly after big events like Comiket or Comitia, that kind of thing, they will stock, for at least the large artists, the excess stock, or especially printed stock nowadays, of the stuff that they sold at Comiket, that kind of thing. And they'll also have any of the excess stock that maybe some artists didn't sell on the day. So Toru no Ana is the great place to look for if you have particular artists in mind. They do have an English website, technically speaking. As you can see, they have a couple forwarding services themselves. AOCS is kind of their own thing that they decided to introduce when they found that a lot of foreigners were visiting Toru no Ana while they were in store. But Tensei will work just as well. And as you can see, they will have their own rankings for doujinshis there. Unfortunately, the actual shopping website is going to be in Japanese. So again, if you're up to this point, you probably need to know the Japanese names for your artists, or at least the Japanese names of the doujins that you want to buy. But they'll all be here. Just make sure it doesn't break any applicable laws in your country, because what is legal in Japan is not legal necessarily anywhere else. So yeah, Toru no Ana, great place. As I said before, Melon Books is also a great choice as well for any of your doujinshi, that kind of thing. It's just that I tend to use Toru no Ana. Melon Books tends to be better necessarily for girls things, for ladies doujinshi, just purely because of the clientele where their physical stores are set up. But like either one is pretty much interchangeable, to be honest. So yeah. Now, moving on from maybe the large doujin artists, maybe you're after something in particular. Maybe you're after like trains or TTRPGs or things like that, right? Some things that are smaller, not necessarily as big circulation, and you're wondering, I can't get to Japan. Maybe these guys are selling it somewhere else. For that, you are correct. This particular website is called Booth, and it's an indie art marketplace. So again, this is, your self-published stuff, but they have a lot more variety because the actual artists themselves can post it up onto Booth for shipping and things like that. Now, Booth does support Bai by itself, but I found that some of the artists will only ship to Japan, in which case you kind of need a Tensei thing. But I think it'll still work with Bai. It just might be a bit more expensive or take a bit more time. I can't remember. But as you can see here, they have a lot more categories than necessarily Toru no Ana or Melon Books will have. So you'll have your doujinshis, the comics, that kind of thing. But they'll also have illustrations, which are more like, let's say, like art books, that kind of thing. So you have to after character designs or things like that. There's accessories, audio goods. I do know that there's a lot of HoloLive stuff on here, for example. If you're after cosplay books, a lot of cosplayers are on here. They're also, the big ones will also be on Toru no Ana as well. Software and hardware or 3D models, if you're into the VTubing stuff. And of course, figures, source materials, arts, that kind of thing, if you're after merchandise. But just remember, this is all fan-made stuff. So definitely you'll need to have a look yourself. And as I said, you can find TTRPGs and all the weird and wacky stuff that only fans can make. So yeah, Booth is another great resource to use. They are pretty much run by the same people as Pixiv, so you'll need a Pixiv account to be able to access Booth and to look at, if you want any spicier stuff. But if you're looking for any recent doujinshi from the big conventions that are going on, like Comitia, like Comiket, that kind of thing, Booth's a great place to pick it up as well. let's say you're looking for something of a vintage, right? Something where you're pretty sure it's out of print or it's a doujinshi from several years ago that you don't think you can find anymore. Mandarake is the place to go. Mandarake pretty much only exclusively deal in secondhand goods, and as such, their stock can be fairly limited. But they basically stock anything you can think of that's secondhand. And as you can tell, or as you may have already had experience with, Japanese secondhand quality is pretty damn good. For example, this random one that I found, they have an auction for some, it looks like some Orimo cells. So this is like 2000 when was Orimo out? 2008, 2007, 2009 cells. So that is pretty good if you were a fan of the anime. I was not that big of a fan. So they have animation cells, they have doujinshi, they have old manga, they have posters, idol stuff, scripts, that kind of thing. You name it, they probably have it. If they don't have it, it's going to be extremely hard to be able to find outside of Japan. You're probably going to need to go and actually have a dig around and have a little bit of a search. Ooh, Eureka 7 cells. This I would probably get if I was that interested. I might, we'll see. Anyway, so yeah, if you're after anything secondhand, Mandarake is the best place to get it. Not everything's under auction for the stuff that is, not as, let's say, one of a kind or things like that. They will have it in like a regular storefront that's been adequately priced according to what they believe it is worth. But they will also have stuff categorized for your particular fandom, so Marvel, DC Comics, Star Wars, etc. So yeah, if you're after anything that's been out of print or hasn't been created for a while, or maybe is a little bit special edition, Mandarake is your spot. If you are after just general anime merchandise of stuff that is like very new and is recent, Ami is your place. Very easy to use. It's all in English. You can just look it up all in English. They will accept Japanese names, English names in Romaji, for example. So you don't have to change your language or anything like that. They will ship internationally as well. So if you have multiple orders, you can combine them within them themselves. So when you have your account, they will actually combine it into a monthly order for you if multiple things ship in the same month, and then they will send it all to you in one. There's no external services that you need. Ami will just do it for you, at no extra cost either, which is very nice. So you'll just pay for the goods you want and the shipping, and you're done. Of course, if you have several figurines coming over several months, you'll have to pay several different types of shipping. That's just how it is. That being said, Tenso and Bai will probably make you do the same thing, where from 30 days from your first kind of package arriving, you'll need to consolidate whatever it is within 30 days, and then it'll just be that package. So not unlimited time either with the original proxy services. So yeah, that's some of the stores that I personally use while I'm browsing for stuff from Japan. I recently bought a toaster from Amazon, which is the sorted food most expensive toaster thing, just because it looked really good and I want to try it. But anyway, I hope this video was useful to you. Please leave a like and comment below what other places that you might use for Japan. If you've got any other retailers that maybe you want some help with or think you might be able to get into, do let me know. And of course, if you do actually want to go to Japan and pick up some doujinshis for yourself in person, I do have a foreigner's guide to Comiket that you should check out. That's got a lot of useful info on how those conventions kind of work, especially the biggest one of the year, and helps you find what you want while you're in Japan. So yeah, I'll catch you around for the next one.